Hmm.
Big news today, Thurrott.
Yeah.
Biggest game release of the year for this household has occurred. Actually, it was yesterday. Forgot. Or maybe it is today. Maybe it
Um,
is today, but I
is you're
forgot
not
about it.
talking Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy?
It's kind of close to that. Actually, I thought you were going to get it right and I was going to be really impressed, but my daughter doesn't realize it yet because she forgot.
Hmm.
But
What is it?
Cat Quest 3 now available.
I've never even heard of such a thing.
Yeah, it's like a cute little RPG style game. Whatever.
There's a game where you play a cat, and they can't be on a third one. This is kind of a new thing.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
like a cat game of some kind that I am aware of, but
it might be that. I don't know. But
hmm,
yeah, it's like a perfect RPG for a 10-year-old. And we've played the first two, and we will play the third, I'm sure.
sure. I never did this, and of course now my daughter's gone anyway. But there was a time period where I sort of thought like I could picture introducing my wife and my daughter at the time who into like certain kind of games that were basically narrative kind of
Yeah.
story driven things like Firewatch is a perfect
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
example. Like I think they would enjoy it. Like even if just the three of us sitting there, one of us on the controller, but just kind of talking about it and letting the story unfold. Like I think there are certain games like that that people who are not game players and don't think well of them. I guess my daughter is kind of a game player, but don't really think about that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like as opposed to like just watching TV or something. I think there's something to that. Having never actually done it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know,
On paper, it sounds good, right?
yeah. Anyway, I've not heard of that game. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't expect you to pick this up and play it. It's
No,
very
no,
much.
but I haven't even heard of it, and I mean, I'm somewhat involved in this space. I mean, I pay attention. I don't know.
It's not a blockbuster, but whatever. It's
Yeah,
available.
that's okay.
It's
There's
20
nothing wrong with
bucks.
that.
If you got kids, they will love it. That's about
Yeah,
it.
fun.
Yeah. And that's about it.
I
Other
know.
than Intel doing Intel stuff, Sonos apologizing for
Yes.
their terrible app, and
Sonos is going to suspend the rest of the year apologizing. The thing I'm interested to see, and they hinted at this, is what they will do for customers, right? And
yeah,
I
they're
don't just mean
supposedly
like,
offering discounts or something. But it's like,
yeah. So they did right by customers before. Remember when they obsoleted the stuff that's now under S1? Like
mm-hmm.
you could get like a 30% discount on new hardware, which in the Sonos space is pretty meaningful, right? Like, we'll see. But I, I kind of outlined this. I wrote an article about their earnings this morning, which is really about how they're delaying two products because of this app that would have shipped this quarter. And I don't think they're capable of taking the steps they need to make this thing right because what they need to do is get rid of their CEO and whoever is a crony of the CEO. They need to actually fix the app and do it in some timely fashion, not by October, which is nonsense. You can't edit the now playing list. Can I stress how broken like that is? I right now could write an app that could edit a now playing list for a music player. That makes no sense. So, and I think they need to get back with Google. I
I
think
think
the
they just
thing
need to
that
give us the
this,
old app back. That would.
yeah, well, that would be the first step, but it's too late for that because I think there's more. Because, the problem with the Google stuff is that it breaks the promise of Sonos, which is that it just works with everything.
Yeah.
And one way that you could work with everything, and by the way, one thing that would overcome all the problems with the app is if it just worked natively with like what we'll call Chromecast or Google Cast or whatever, like as it does with AirPlay on that side of the fence. And honestly, I think that's something Sonos could themselves implement. They just don't, right? I can't imagine Google charges for this. It's like, they must just let anyone do this. Why
They
wouldn't
probably just
they?
don't care. I mean,
No, but they should care because this is like these are still good speakers. The new ones I don't have, but they do Dolby Atmos and all that stuff. And this is a way to make these things not like a Sonos ecosystem necessarily, but they'll just work with whatever ecosystem you've chosen. This is a huge step. And by the way, tied to this, right? The new Chromecast thing that came out that's
mm-hmm.
not a Chromecast, the end of that era or whatever. People don't remember this, and one of the reasons I went to Sonos eventually, Google, who was terrible also, had an awesome Chromecast audio device, a little
Yep.
round thing that plugged into speaker, right?
Yep.
I had several of these around my home. You could create what we think of today in the Apple space as in like an AirPlay based system with multiple speakers all around the house. Use the speakers you already had, which was fantastic. It allowed you, if you were buying new speakers, just to buy new dumb speakers that would never be obsoleted because they would always work with anything. And they killed it for some freaking reason. Like it was a perfect product, but that's what Google does, right? So Google and Sonos kind of intertwine here a couple times, if you think about it. And man, what a terrible, everything is terrible. I think it's my theme here,
Mm-hmm.
it's all terrible. It's awful. So I look at this, I read this transcript of their little apology and everything, and I'm like, you know what? Screw these people. Like they're terrible. They're just terrible. Good morning.
Yeah.
That's what I woke up to today, man. That's how my mornings go.
Yeah. It'll get fixed or whatever, and then
No,
we'll
it
suffer
won't.
the consequences, and it'll be.
It doesn't. Think about it, dude. Disney Plus raising prices and everything. Netflix, we know all prices of Prime ads. We have everything we use has turned to crap this year, right? Xbox
More
Game Pass
expensive.
used to be a no-brainer, and now it's like, what am I paying for? What is this? Like, you couldn't name a service that had. Well, I'm sure you could, but when you look at big tech, which is and slightly big tech. I mean, Sonos
Sonos
three,
is not
four
big
hundred
tech. They
million.
are average. They'll
I mean,
average to
you
middle.
cannot state the delta between these companies financially. Like, I'm not remembering the exact number, but it was 300 to 400 million in revenues, 3 to 4 million in profit.
Mm-hmm.
Apple made $85 billion. Tell me how those two things relate. Yeah, they're both tech, and I guess they're both big compared to like my finances, but like they're, they're not even on the same planet. But to us, they are, right? I mean, we're consumers. So I don't know. They're all terrible. I mean, it would be a really short list. What are the list of like tech products and services that don't suck and don't hurt and don't betray you and aren't, you know what I mean? Like what's on this list? It's probably worth thinking about.
Spotify got
Proton,
more
maybe.
expensive.
I don't like what's out there. What is it?
I don't know.
I know there aren't that many. It's awful. It really is awful. The more you think it's maybe not smart to think about it too much because it's depressing. Like there's just so much that's awful.
Yeah, because you still think of in my brain, I still think of all streaming services as $10 because that's what, but they're not.
Nope.
I don't think any of them are they?
I know. That's actually, that's the genesis of an idea there, because excuse me, my other computer decided to wake up. Remember like music was like $1. Remember 99 cents for a song, right? No one does this probably, but you could go to, it's like you have an iPhone. So, there's like an iTunes store app still, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you go in there and you try to look at like movies or whatever else, TV shows, I guess, it just says go to the Apple TV app now, right? So this app is just there so you can buy music. It's the only reason it exists. They should just roll that into Apple Music, I guess. I don't know. No one does this, I'm guessing. Probably nobody buys me. But look, have you ever looked to see like music is kind of expensive? If you want to buy music, like I literally just looked. There's a double album version of Def Leppard 1983 album that has all the original versions. It's awesome. It's I stream it all the time. I'm like, how much would it cost to buy this thing? I think it was like $27, or maybe it was $17. It was some huge amount. I was like, what? I'm not paying that much money for this. What is this? But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Is Napster still a thing? I'm gonna look.
I don't LimeWire. Bring it all back.